So that's Mac-Irv, and I'm proud to introduce Larry McKenzie, former Gopher, always a Golden Gopher at heart, hasn't gone anywhere, and he's brought, I believe, a couple of family members here. Of course, his dad, Lawrence McKenzie Sr., here, as Coach Thorson mentioned earlier, and we thank you for coming, being here. So let's give Lawrence here, Mac-Irv, a round of applause. So I was kidding him earlier, he was going to show me how to hold the microphone for my rapping career. Well, to the side like this, and tight like that. So, but anyway, welcome, Lawrence. I'm going to turn it right over to you because I know you've done a lot of things since you've been here, but you can tell us a little bit about your basketball career, high school and college here at the University of Minnesota, and then what you've been doing since. So I'm just going to turn it over to you, and then we can ask some questions or what have you, and we'll go from there.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. This is a full circle moment for me, for sure. I was just telling my dad and my future father-in-law that I didn't even really have an idea about this was going on. I was so locked in on basketball. I was so focused on what was going on at the arena, the practices, and it's kind of a full circle moment to see that there's also people that you can see that are behind it, that not on the court with you, or not in the locker room with you, but are behind you just as much as the team is. So this is beautiful to see, and actually to see those faces. So thank you guys for having me. My story is I'm from North Minneapolis. Grew up watching the Gophers, grew up watching high school basketball all throughout Minnesota, and having the privilege of seeing those teams with John Thomas and Bobby Jackson and the Quincy Lewises, and being influenced by that. I went to Patrick Henry High School. As Thorson said before, I was one of the first players in Minnesota State history to win 4 state championships, along with my father. So that was an amazing time. That was an amazing time. It's just certain things that can only be written in a book. And those are some of those things where you're like, wow, as a basketball player, I was lucky enough to have not only have my father around and be influential on me just in regular parts of my life, as going to school and the things that we're doing at home, but also being there for me on the basketball court as well. So that was an amazing thing for me. And then after high school, my story is I ended up going to Oklahoma for 2 years out of there. And then after 2 years of trying to figure a lot of things out as a growing young man, decided to end up coming back home. And I sat out a year, and my first year I had Coach Munson. And it was a time, I'll just say that. It was one of those things now that was one of the most difficult times in my basketball career, but also a place where I've learned so much from there. I won so much, and winning is a good thing, but it can also be a negative thing when you're not checking your ego. And I think that was one of the things for me that I learned a lot from, is understanding that it all comes from the hard work and the work that you put in. And sometimes when you can forget about that work, you can understand, you can see that without that you will not be able to accomplish the things that you truly want to. So that was something that I learned from that situation of being here. So having that time with Munson, and then during I think this may have been one of the only times that this has happened, was 7 or 8 games into that. I don't know if you guys remember this, I'm pretty sure you do. Into that season, Munson had to step down. And then we had Coach Molinari step up. And it was another different experience, right? So we have an assistant coach step up. Right now we're trying to figure out what's going on, who are we as a team, why this happened, what we can do better. And then I had Coach Molinari through that year, and then my last year, I had Tubby Smith come, which was actually a turnaround year for us, I would say. We never got a chance to make the tournament, but we really, I feel like we're the starting point to the next generation of those guys that are starting to actually get into the tournament, win basketball games, have winning seasons. So I was able to be a part of that. once again, my experience here was honestly, if I'm going to be totally honest, not one of the best I could have possibly made it. And I can look back and say that now. I also train basketball players now. I train a lot of top high school kids. I train a lot of young kids that are coming up and trying to figure out the game. And one of the things that I just remember is forgetting how important the basis is, the bricks, the work, the foundation. All right, sometimes you can go and you can build and you can be building this thing and not be thinking about it at all because it's just your love for the game. And then you get outside and you see all these people that are just giving you all this credit. And you start getting all this credit and you start to think, oh yeah, I am pretty good. It is about me. It is about me. And the bigger that ego builds, the less you feel like you have to start doing the work. So that's one of my biggest, the biggest lessons that I've learned, and the lesson I want to continue to pass on, not to only the kids that I train, but to my kids, understanding that we want to keep the first thing and the main thing all the time. And if we continue to work, the results will come, right? So that's one of the lessons that I learned from being here. There's always times where you look back and you wish you could have done more, or done better, or, shot 1,000 more shots, while in the gym, worked on your handles a little bit more. But those are lessons that we can, at this point, push us forward for the now. That was a part of my life. This was a part of my life, and time flies. It's been almost, 2008 is 2024. That's almost 16 years now. 16 years since I've been playing on this basketball court, and it literally just went in a snap. So you have to appreciate the moments that you have right now, and don't take those mistakes. For a long time, I felt I was running away. I wanted to run away from it. I wanted to run away from basketball because it felt like I failed. And I went through a process of 6 months of thinking everything like, oh, why me? Why couldn't I have done this? And when you're climbing these mountains, you're going along your journey. It feels like that you were there and you just failed. But there were so many small things in between that I learned that I could have been doing that I had control of. And the beautiful thing about if I have control of the negative things that happen in my life, I can also control the positive things that happen in my life. So that's my experience after you. And I've been using that knowledge and that understanding to carry myself throughout the rest of my life. So right now, as they mentioned, this is actually one of the older songs that I did. I did this in 2012, along the time where I just started getting to rapping. I also did a song called Minnesota March that recently I did around 2016 or 17 for the team. One of my more recents. I've been able to take the microphone and use music to allow me to travel around the country. I've done shows all across the United States and Canada, and it's been the closest thing to me other than playing basketball. I always looked at basketball like art, like poetry. I always looked at the game as something that was creative for me. It was something that I could go out and get away from everything. So me using that to translate into my music was the closest thing that I felt playing, other than playing basketball in front of thousands of people. Now I'm able to use my voice and get on the stage and use my energy to still move thousands of people. So that's been a beautiful thing. I was able to do some of the biggest music festivals. I played this music festival called Soundset with some of the biggest music artists. I did a music festival in Wisconsin. I have I keep saying and Mark, he told me not to say but so now I'm thinking about it every time. So just work with me here. But again, so I was able to. Let's go back before music, some of my basketball history. After I left here, many might not know, I went to Macedonia. I played about 4 months in Macedonia. It was quite the experience. But in my mind, I was like, I want to play in the NBA. It's always been my dream to play in the NBA. So I came back over and I got an opportunity to play in the NBA D-League, which is now the G-League, for the Los Angeles Lakers. And then it was the LA Defenders that I was playing for. And it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. When I say that, it's almost like being on the JV team of the best varsity team of all time. So we played at the Staples Center. We practiced at the Toyota Center. I got a chance to sit down with Kobe Bryant. I got a chance to meet Lamar Odom and these guys, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Phil Jackson. These were guys I was able to be around every single day. So that was one of the biggest blessings for me, and a time that I'll always cherish and remember. After that, I ended up having a hip surgery at the age of 25, which led to my retirement. And that was one of the times where I was going through and questioning things and seeing what I could have done better. But being a man of faith, I understand that if I feel like if God closes one door, He's going to open another one for you. And I'm using my ability now, once again, not only for the music, but to give back to kids who have came up and are doing the same things and have the same path that I'm taking as well. So after the music as well as doing basketball, I'm the beautiful thing about what I have going on in this moment is I'm doing two things that I love to do. Two things that I love to do. I'm able to teach basketball and I'm able to create music, and then I'm able to do things that are put me in an amazing place and help me help others as well. So I think that's pretty much about what I have going on right now. If there's any questions that you would like to ask or anybody else would like to ask, I'm ready to answer those. All right, thank you.
So it seems like basketball is exploding in all levels, like in a positive way. Like I feel like NBA's doing well. There's a lot of media around basketball. It's made well for current social media and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What impact does that have on the young players that you're seeing and coaching and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's a negative and a positive with that, right? There's guys that see themselves all the time on these social media sites, and it becomes a thing where, like I mentioned before, that ego is getting involved, and if that is checked into the right place, then there's positives to there. Where we're just seeing a lot more basketball, and they're getting themselves out there a lot more as well. So there's always a silver lining between those things, but if you keep it in the right place and you understand as a basketball player, yes, this is an opportunity for me to be seen, but I'm not gonna read my press clippings, as my coaches used to say. Don't read your press clippings. Focus on to continue to practice and continue getting better. Then it's a positive thing for sure. Anybody else? Questions?
So it's a quick one. I don't want to get off basketball too far, but when you started, you introduced me as your future father-in-law. Just when are we talking?
Can we discuss that at a later time? She's gonna love that. She's gonna love that. Soon. Anyone else?
Can you tell us more what Coach, you work with some of the top basketball players in high school, or can you talk to us about what they're doing, like the level of commitment and all of those types of things you work on?
The beautiful thing about these kids is what was a little bit different from when I was coming up, which is that sounds funny. I never thought I'd be saying that, but is that a lot of them are seeing it from these social media sites, right, and seeing basketball out there. You can get a behind the scenes look, so they understand what it takes. They understand the hours it takes to be in the gym. They see other kids training, so they're looking at it in the eyes of almost being a professional at this early age of high school. So I got kids where we're working out 2 to 3 times per week. They're getting in there. They're only not doing the stuff that we're working with. They're going to plyometrics training. They're working on their body. They're eating right. They have the nutritionist. So they're doing everything that it takes to become pros early. And I think that's my job too. As a high school kid, I knew how to be a good basketball player, but I didn't understand how to be a professional. That means doing things when you don't want to do them. That means taking the shots when you don't want to. That means waking up when you don't want to do it, right? If you do all the things in the front, if you do all the things that you need to in the beginning, all right, at the end, it'll be a lot easier. But if you don't do the tough things in the beginning, it's going to be a lot tougher in the end. I think they're having an understanding of that, we need to put in work to even compete nowadays.
Was it more rare when you were going through that people were doing that?
Yeah, no, there wasn't a lot of basketball training. Basketball training has really blown up lately because now everybody feels like if I'm playing basketball, my kid needs a trainer. Which also, in a way, even though I'm in that profession, can't take away from the game because a lot of kids aren't playing at parks the way we used to, right? They're not going to parks, they're not going outside to play one-on-one. They're just focusing on simply the training, and they get in training and they play against chairs and they feel like they should be doing these same moves in the games when they're not actually practicing them. So that's the thing is there's a positive and negative to that as well, but for the most part, if you can get a kid that falls in love with the training and the work and also loves the game, sky's the limit for those kids.
So I got a question for you. A lot of kids, which you understand, a lot of the top kids in Minnesota are opting not to come to the university. Why do you think that is?
I don't know if I can speak personally for those kids. I would say, with my experience, you need to. It's just like anything as a recruiter. If I'm a recruiter, you need to try to find those kids early and let those kids know that you're interested early. Because a lot of times there will be a school that will find those kids earlier, and then they start to build a relationship with those kids. So it's important to try to find those kids and spot those kids as early as possible. And even if you're not offering a scholarship, just begin to build a relationship. So those kids feel comfortable and they feel like, you know what, no matter what, we're human beings while we're going through this process. And we want to know that somebody really, really, truly believes in us and has our best interests at mind. So I would say that, just making sure they get in as early as possible. I skipped you a couple times, sorry about that.
Yeah, I just want to say that when you was playing here at the U, what do you think that God prepare you from the next step?
All the things that I might not have done, honestly. I came in as a high school basketball player, ranked one of the top in the country, and I was really focused on the game of basketball. And I would say there was a balance, but there was enough balance as an athlete where I'll say an 80-20 balance, where 80% work, 20% fun, lounging, doing all the other stuff. But then I got to college and it became 20% work and 80% of what's next, right? And understanding that, I think there was an experience that I needed to go to understand, okay, I didn't like where I was when I was moving this way, and I would prefer to move this way. And everything that I've learned about the things that I shouldn't have done or I could have done better, I could just use that process of everything else that I'm accomplishing and doing in my life at this moment.
What's the takeaways you got from competing with Kobe and Phil Jackson?
Kobe is his work ethic. He was always, the beautiful thing was, he was always the first one in the gym, and he would always answer questions that you wanted to know. So he was extremely knowledgeable about the game, which we know, an extremely hard worker, and it's just somebody that I've always looked up to. So to see Kobe in the game, to see Kobe just come into practice, be the first one out there, him along with like a Derek Fisher were always the first guys out there getting in that extra work. And I understood that's what it took to be a great basketball player. And on the other hand, just to be great at whatever you want to do in life is the extra work and everything else to take care of itself.
This audience very much appreciates and understands your basketball life, but if they're like me, and we appreciate what you said today and what you did here for you.
Yes.
But if they're like me, we get no clue about the music business. I'm more a Buddy Holly, the Beatles guy. No understanding of what music and hip hop and like this. Tell us about how it is to live in that environment. It just seems so difficult. And do you expect you'll be in the music business 10 years from now?
That's a great question. The music business, for me, translates, like I said before, with basketball, just because of my passion. It's something that I looked at as, what's my next challenge? And it's something that I was always around. If you look at my bio, I grew up around Cornbread Harris, who was Jimmy Jam's father. I grew up around Fred Steele. Prince lived across the highway from us where I grew up. So it's something that always correlated with basketball. If you hear the game now, if you hear or you watch the game now, you see guys listening to their headphones, right? That's the stuff that we did before the game. And I just wanted another challenge. I wanted to figure out what was gonna be my next step. And through music, it's been a journey. 10 years ago, I was like, I'm about to be the biggest rapper in the world, right? You think the minute you hop in and you do something, you feel like, I got it. Once again, that's the ego, right? And what I've learned to do on this journey is just to embrace the journey and have fun and figure out who I'm gonna be at the end of that and worry about that. But each day, just take the steps that I need to. So in 10 years, do I hope to hopefully have a career in music? Yes, I would love to be still doing music, but I'm not sure where it's gonna take me. I just know that each day I'm gonna continue to do the work, continue to do the small things, and kind of see where it goes from there.
How many gigs do you do a year?
Recently I haven't done many, but if I'm actually moving on a music cycle, we did 50, almost 50 to 60 shows across the country within 1 year, and then I would do maybe about 5 or 10 at home, so 60 to 70 a year. You know, you don't want to, as a musician also, you don't want to have yourself everywhere at all times, right? You want to have a little bit of exclusivity, so that's why at home I don't do a lot, but throughout the year, maybe about 70, and then there's studio time. Like if you're going behind the scenes, there's studio time. You got to go to the studio, you got to record the song, you got to find the beat for production. Then after that, you got to understand who you're marketing to. There's a lot that you have to do, and it's been a great challenge, but I've been enjoying it.
Last question.
Yeah.
Do all rappers write their own stuff, or do you cover other people?
For the most part, if you want to be known as like a genuine hip hop artist, you want to be able to write your own stuff. A lot of times with singers, they have people that write for them, and there are writers out there. But if you want to be a genuine hip hop artist, just because when somebody is rapping on a mic and they're artist poetry, you want to feel like it came from them, right? That's what makes music powerful and important. Is like these are my experiences from what I've learned, from what I went through. It's just like if I came up here and spoke to you guys about somebody else's story, it wouldn't have the biggest impact as me actually speaking about the things that I went through. So it's extremely important as an artist, I feel like, to write your own stuff.
Twofold. What was it like to have a father as a coach? And then is there inspiration with your daughters in the basketball world?
Maybe I need to hand in the microphone. My dad is a coach. All right, let's talk about that. I did a few therapy sessions about this. At the beginning, just like anything, and I think as a kid, and as a trainer and a coach now, I understand this part is he wanted to push me. He was getting me outside my comfort zone. At that moment in time, I didn't have the understanding of why are you yelling at me? How come the ball went off on this guy and you didn't say anything? But as soon as I turn the ball over, I'm running 10 laps, and I'm not even playing in the game. This is my freshman year. And I just really didn't have an understanding of it, and the ride homes and every single light about this turnover and that play that could have been better. So it was really, really difficult at a time. In high school, I almost decided, it's funny that Dorsey was talking about De La Salle. I was like, I'm leaving this school, I'm going to De La Salle, I'm not playing for you. But what I learned about what he was doing and what I try to incorporate with my kids now, and even my kids growing up, like my daughters, is you're gonna be comfortable doing something, and then I'm gonna push you a little bit outside your comfort zone. And then we're gonna get you comfortable doing that, then I'm gonna push you a little bit more outside your comfort zone. And I think that's what he was continuing to do, was understanding that push, right? I want you to be comfortable, I want you to be confident in yourself, but I want you to always want more. And that's the experience that I picked up understood at about 21. But before that, I didn't like it that much at all. But he pushed me and forced me to be. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be so good that this guy can't tell me nothing. Like so I remember this clearly. Is he was yelling out a play. I had the basketball up top, and I'm like, I'm not running this play. And I came down, and I made a move, and I went through the lane, and I just dunked it, and I looked at him, and he was just like, okay. And then from there, we was good. From there, we were all right. And as far as my daughters, what do you think, Lauren? Do you think you ever want to, Right now, I tried to get them in the gym. I tried, and I even tried to bribe them with candy. I tried a lot of different things, and they do have the talent, they have the ability, but I bought them shoes, but I also don't want to force them to do it just because I did it. So whatever that they want to do, I'm going to be behind them 100%, but whatever they choose, we're going to make sure we really, really work at it. So it's up to them though.
One last thing, on the Minnesota March, didn't you redo that with the new names, and are you gonna do that again in the future?
I did redo them with the new names. I did. So I was listening to this. I'm like, yeah, this is really old. This is a lot of old names I'm hearing about this, but in here. But I did redo them with the new names, and I hope to plan to do something with the tournament this year for the Gophers. You know, that's my hope. And I always say that each year, like, we're gonna make the tournament, and I'm gonna do the song again. So I'm hoping that we'll continue to put on the way that we're doing and play really well and keep getting these wins and have a chance to get to the tournament this year as well. Any other questions?
These kids that you're training, how old are they? When do they start coming to a training?
Man, I've started with kids that are in 2nd and 3rd grade. And like I said, these parents are really, really serious about basketball and getting these kids in. But, you know, I've always said this, I can tell a kid's passion when they walk in the gym. I can tell if they want to do it, or I can tell if it's their parents that want them to do it. So I always see, if I see a kid that's passionate at 2nd and 3rd grade and they have it in their eyes and they're willing to get better and they want to work, we get to it. And you can tell those are the kids that are developing. But the beautiful thing about it also is all the other lessons you learn through coaching and through basketball at that age, right? Where we're pushing through and we're explaining why we're pushing through, and you're gonna make some shots, you're gonna miss some shots. It's about continuing to do the work, and it's not about what's happening in the moment. It's about doing the work and letting things happen for your future self. So I started about 2nd and 3rd grade. If they're ready and they're capable. If they're ready and they're capable. So
I just want to make one quick comment about, so Lawrence is pretty sought after as a trainer, and somebody asked a question, I think, and it's nothing against, I think the players before Lawrence and their generation were great players, but I think Minnesota blew up in basketball right towards the end of the 90s, so there's a lot of current trainers that have the ability to train, and you guys have injuries, right? So you guys do a lot of injury prevention, like you build up the muscles around where you had an injury to prevent other young people from having the same injuries. And I think that's one of the benefits, and I don't want you to overlook your shortcomings because they're benefits for people behind
yeah,
you.
no doubt about it, and I'm glad you said that. There's things that I go through as, I remember being a freshman in college or being in high school and seeing people put ice in their bodies and be like, that's what old men do. And in my mind, I'm not understanding, no, this is our career, this is our profession. We have to invest in our body. So I'm able to pass that information down and have them understand, hey, we need to stretch beforehand. All right, after we're done with this, we need to make sure that we're icing our bodies. After we're done with this, we need to make sure we're watching film. There are just so many other things that I've learned other than just playing the game that, like I said, doing those extra things is what makes you a professional in this game. And you can start having a professional mindset before you become a professional. Usually that's what happens is you start thinking about who you want to be and you become that person before you get there. Sometimes we want to wait until we get there, but if you start thinking about where you want to be and where you want to go, then most likely, and you do those things, you take the actions, you'll end up being where you want to. Any other questions?
4 high school championships.
Yes.
Who gets more credit, father or son?
I didn't score.
I was gonna say who was playing out there? Who was playing? But it's the beautiful thing about it is that we're able to be asked those kind of questions, right? Is we did that together, and that's not something that we even plan to say, hey, when you get in high school, we're gonna win 4 state championships. And that's the beautiful thing is that we just did the work. 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 And when you do the work, great things happen. I was able to do that and have that experience with my dad, and he went on to even win 2 more at our rival school, which is I'm kind of in between about, you know. But still, you know, he was a great coach, and I look at the guys that, even when Coach Thorson, the guys that were affected by him, And just think about it, where they were able to see him within a 4-year basis, and I had that time throughout, not only as growing up as a high school, as a teen, but even now to be able to take all that information and have somebody to learn from and build off. So it was a blessing. You got another question?
Well, I was gonna say, when you say he won tour north, you kind of answered the question.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
won the fourth, though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll give him credit. We'll give him some credit. Anybody else? Or? All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for having me. I truly appreciate it.